Okay, we are all the way up to the 8th most popular, as determined by you, most popular shows of the year.
How about those Mizzou Tigers yesterday?
How about
Yeah,
the BYU Cougars?
BYU.
Destroyed
Man,
Virginia.
That wasn't even close. The BYU game?
Oh, man, did they teach Georgia Tech a lesson or what?
No, all I said was, boy, that wasn't even close. That's all I remember.
Watch them all be really close games.
I know, down to the wire of it.
But listen, this is another one of our Free Think Friday episodes.
Yes.
These were popular shows during the course of the year, and they're fun to do.
This was a great show.
And this was
I
good
love
stuff.
this show.
Yeah.
We give you a lot of information in this show, man. Hey, you know what? You're welcome.
We
You know what? You are welcome.
Happy to do it.
we had Matt Landman on talking about chemtrails.
Yeah, from his documentary Frankenskies,
Frankenskies.
which is a great
Great
documentary.
name. Great documentary.
Yes.
Great name for a great documentary.
Yes.
So you can ponder the chemtrails and, decide what you think of it. I think it's a little far-fetched.
Don't you stick your nose up.
You know.
Wait a minute. Something happened. Something happened to you, Pat.
I know.
Because
I know.
I was never convinced that for sure, right? But I was
thought
considering it.
I thought that after this show, you believed it more than before the show.
Yes,
But something has
that is
happened
true.
since then
Something
because now
has
you've been
happened
talking
since.
about how you don't believe it at all, and I'm confused.
Well, let me listen to this show.
Okay.
Yeah, listen
Okay.
to it
Maybe
again.
I'll be brought
All
back.
right. All right.
Because remember, he has a part 2 coming out that comes out in 2026.
He does?
Yes.
Matt Landman?
Matt Landman, yes.
Oh, we should talk to him about
All
that.
right, so
Oh,
write
we-
this down.
we are.
Ashton Forbes and Matt Landman need to
Gotta
be
have him on
trust
again.
me. 20
Gotta, you know who else I've been seeing a lot of lately are flat Earth people. Are you guys seeing that?
No.
I-
I'm
that
not
must be
seeing
your
that.
feed.
It must be
It
your
must be my
Holy
feed.
Yeah,
algorithm.
Yeah. It's
What are you
making a
watching?
resurgence.
Really?
What are you
At
watching?
least in my feed. And I mean, it's people refuting the flat Earth people, but it's a fascinating topic because how do you believe that? Seriously. I mean,
Well, they're
Yeah,
evidence.
I will say that when you start looking at it, you're like, yeah, you know what that means? Wait, no, what the hell am I? No, it doesn't at all.
Yes, exactly.
That's what's happened
Yes.
to you.
yes.
You
With
are looking
chemtrails.
at some of the other things, saying, "Oh, how can people believe that?" And now you're looking at like the chemtrails, for example, and saying, "Well, I can't believe in that either."
That's possible.
Well, you
And-
need to watch this show.
It's possible.
You
I'm
need
going to
to
watch
rewatch
this
it,
show.
just
Yeah.
like with
And
the
then-
audience.
I will say
Then we'll
this:
see.
if
Yes.
you can refute a conspiracy theory without doing any research, okay, like just on common sense, then that's a good place to be.
Yeah.
I will say.
And I will
on a
say
topic.
again, I think I've said this in the past, but when you get into this world of all of these conspiracies,
That's
it's
for
a
sure.
dark place
It
to
is
live.
very dark. Yes.
It's a dark place to live. If you are an Alex Jones or Candace Owens type
Oh, yeah.
and you buy into all of it, God, it's just not a good mindset
That's
to
for
have.
sure.
Then you don't, I mean, we don't anyway, but you don't trust anything the government says. But that's, to me, you're getting into, if you believe all of this stuff combined, it's like, how do I even pay taxes to these people?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I just don't want to be there.
I'm already
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
No, I will say though, I can't. I'm not gonna be able to find it on the fly here, but I just love that picture that I took from the airplane that shows the curvature of the Earth.
Oh,
That's what
yeah,
that's what I
yours.
mean.
Yeah.
Like when you can do your own research from your own reality.
Technology, yeah.
You
Well,
know?
they just tell you that's a mind trick, though. It's
Yes.
it's an illusion.
Wait,
It's an
hold on.
illusion.
Seeing the curvature of the Earth from an airplane.
It's an
through my
illusion.
phone-
It's
Through
because
the
of the
window that
It's
they
because
have
of the
there.
window they have.
Right.
Do you
Yes.
know
Right.
anything?
It's part
Yes.
of the trick,
It's
Keith.
part of-
I'm
thank
surprised
you.
you're that naive.
Yes.
All right, now,
You've been duped
You
now,
are.
hold
by
on.
the airline people.
Thank you.
So wait.
Oh
So
yeah,
flat Earth,
we
yes?
believe your iPhone picture.
Flat Earth,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, they don't believe any of the videos, the
No.
photos.
Well,
we
Pat.
we took shots of the Earth from the moon.
Would
Oh,
even
those
land
have-
in the
those have
So
been
here we
doctored
go. Now
forever.
you're
we go
yeah.
again.
Now you're accepting one
you.
government lie
Yep.
All right.
to
Never-
prove the
That's right.
conspiracy, disprove the conspiracy
Right.
theory. I see
Yeah.
what you're doing here.
I see that too.
That's pathetic of me. But let's see where
Let's
you
see
are
what- yeah.
after this
Yes.
episode. Here's the 8th most popular of the year.
Pat Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Good morning, American. It's Friday.
Welcome to it. Great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. 888-933-93 is our number. Getting close to August. It's almost football season now.
It is.
I mean, we are right on the precipice.
You can smell the pigskin.
This coming week, BYU starts fall camp. I can't wait. I just can't wait.
I know.
It's going to be good. It's going to be great.
Yeah, well, you guys are without a quarterback, but go ahead.
Well, we got a quarterback.
Okay.
Won't be the same one as last year, but we got a quarterback.
The NFL Hall of Fame game is less than a week away on July 31st.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
It's here.
It is.
Holy mackerel.
So football
is
is
upon us.
started,
It
right?
is
So
upon
football is on us.
It is upon us.
That's great.
It is.
Is there anything better than that?
Yes.
I don't know. I
yes.
don't know.
Well,
It competes
I mean-
with Christmas for the best time of year.
Okay.
It really does.
It does.
It does. I mean, it's that great.
I can't tell you how I'm looking forward to having my college football Saturdays
I mean,
back.
me too. And all I do in the off season is think about the on season of football. That's all I do. All right. Well, how's recruiting going? You know, it's that. And recruiting, by the way, is going very well. Top 20 recruiting class. So, thank you very much.
Can't always bank on that, but go ahead.
I think they're going to now. I think this is the start of something pretty special.
Well, yeah, you guys finally got into a league.
Got into a league, yes. That did help. Tell you that. That helped a lot. All right, we got a special show for you today. We're gonna talk about chemtrails today. This is our Free Think Friday show.
They are a thing? Are we admitting that they are a thing?
Well, we're going to talk to Matt Landman about that, who's a documentary filmmaker and director of the movie Frankenskies. And we're going to talk to him about just that.
Awesome.
Matt, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I guess the first question we'll start with, Matt, is are chemtrails a thing? Because we're being told that chemtrails are just frozen vapor from the airplane. Is that all that is?
Well, I mean, I devoted my life to exposing the agenda about a decade ago, so I do think they're a thing, but it's hard for people to sink their teeth into it. It takes a lot of investigation and background. My film Frankenskies starts in 1920, and so if you watch the first 10 minutes of it, it becomes self-evident. But I have like a whole weather weaponization modification timeline we can go over, and yeah, they're a thing for sure, but we can dive into that in depth.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real thing. One of the things that I found fascinating is that we're supposed to now. Okay, so and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but we're believing that the airlines are responsible for most of the disbursement of the chemtrails, and they are just doing it. They're just doing it. It's just they're complicit with it, and we're good with it.
Well, that's a question I get often, and maybe when they first started ramping it up in the mid-90s, the airlines may have played a part, but nowadays there's not. It's not the airlines.
Okay.
There's drones. They outfit old planes and leave the markings on them. It's a way above the airlines. It's military and what have you.
Okay.
But no longer is it the airlines. Otherwise, we'd all know about it. Everyone would know
That's
about
what
it.
I
There'd be
thought,
so
yeah.
many loose ends, so many different people would be talking about it.
So what is it exactly that? Because again, we're told it's just frozen vapor that comes out of the back of the plane, right? That's just exhaust that freezes in the atmosphere. But it's way beyond that, right? You're saying that that there are chemicals being released.
Well, yeah, activists and people out there in the world, citizens, had to take science into their own hands. And once the trails really started showing up, because if you go back into your family photos in the early 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, you don't see these persistent linear cirrus cloud formations, these lines, these grid patterns, these tic-tac-toe boards in the sky that we now see, right? So people took science into their own hands, which is observation, and then you have the scientific method where you have a hypothesis and you start testing it over and over with observations. And activists, which are normal people, farmers, all sorts of different walks of life, people started testing the rainwater after they saw these lines in the skies, and then it would rain the next day. People started testing their soil, matching these up with the patents, and it has been determined right? Not just a theory, this isn't guesswork. This is repeated over and over and over, that the primary constituents are aluminum, barium, strontium. There's other things that get sprayed, but generally speaking, they're mixing chemicals together in the sky.
Wow.
Right, that's not normal air traffic. None of that's even legal.
My
Oftentimes they'll all be going one direction.
Yes.
It's like, are you telling me that they're all going to Hawaii today? Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see one direction frequently, and also X's, X marking the spot in the skies here in Texas in particular.
That is something else. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen patterns like that created. Any idea where that is? Where that took place? That's interesting.
Right above your house.
Yeah. Right above my house.
You just got to look up.
Okay.
I've never seen
it
that.
That marked
grid,
down.
but I've definitely seen them crossing and multiple trails like that. My goodness, that's one of the things that really stood out to me. It was a great film, by the way. Was the new clouds? Like, we get new cloud classifications. That was very eye-opening, I thought.
That was because it was reported like, hey, we got some new clouds.
Yeah, and of course, the local news channels were just like, isn't this cool? And they were the most strange-looking, non-natural things.
Right. How can we all of a sudden have new clouds? And then that was along the same timing where there was this normalization campaign to launch this synonym, which is geoengineering. So geoengineering and chemtrails are the exact same thing, but the scientific community or the global warming propagandists have come out and said we have a solution, a potential solution in this problem reaction solution paradigm we find ourselves in, where the real problem is the spraying of the skies to manipulate the weather and create climate catastrophe and what have you. They claim that the solution could be dimming the sky with geoengineering, which is chemtrails. So they had to cover their bases and come out with all these new clouds all of a sudden. 12 new clouds.
And one of them was called Homo mutatus?
Yeah, Homo mutatus.
I mean, they're right. They're saying it to our
yeah.
face, man. Come on.
Unreal.
It's unbelievable. Okay, so why are they doing this?
That's a great question. And people, when they get into this situation, this chemtrail debate, people really want to know the who, what, why, where, when, how, because their friends, family, and peers, they'll ask them these questions. And if they don't have the answers, then they're just labeled a conspiracy nutter, conspiracy theorist. And, and the why, it's deep. It depends on who you're talking to, really, because you want to meet people where they're at. You don't want to completely scare people off with the why. The why is control. Bill Gates is the #1 farmland owner in the United States. And if you can control who gets rain and who doesn't, then big ag can gobble up drought-stricken land for pennies on the dollar. The real reason, the deep reason, is problem, reaction, solution. So the New World Order, the powers that be, the Club of Rome, trilateral, whoever you want to call the they, because that scares people away, the they, makes you sound like a conspiracy theorist. They, right, they are creating these scenarios, flooding, drought, extreme hurricanes, what have you, heat waves even, right? And then with this geoengineering, with the chemtrails, they make these extreme weather events. Even the word climate change is interesting. Like, what is climate? Climate is defined as 30 years of weather. And when did we start to see these grid patterns in our sky? 1995, 30 years ago. So the weather has been altered for 30 years now, and they've changed the weather for 30 years. And so now we have a changed climate change. Yes. And so they want us to think that we need a solution, which people are put in fear through the media and what have you. And the solution is the blocking of our sun with geoengineering and chemtrails. It's been rolled out, and we're getting like spoon fed it. Like, this could really work, and you're welcome, and hopefully it'll block out the solar flares too, and slow down the heating and all this sort of stuff. But it's to get people accepting their solution, which is the problem, and then that leads to more problems. Really, yeah. But really, the answer is control.
So. Are the airlines complicit with it then? Because obviously it's coming out of the planes, right? Who's putting it there?
Well, it's coming out of now drones. They can outfit old planes and make it look like it's coming out of the airline, so that gets confusing. But it's not the airline spraying.
Right.
You can watch like where they're headed. Like I've got an international airport near where I live in Southern Oregon, and none of the planes that spray go in and out of there. They go to secret Air Force bases, and the trajectory is completely different and what have you. But they can outfit old planes just like how you can buy an old rental car and maybe leave the tags on it or whatever. Or you can, even the States, I mean, I'm been abroad a lot, but in the States, you can get an old police car and still have like the
Still
light on
kind
the
of
side
looks
of it or
like a
whatever.
cop's car, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can get, there's an aftermarket for airline planes, and they leave the markings on it, and they gut these things, and I don't even think they're manned anymore because, again, they want as little whistleblowing kind of people out there. And the people involved, they're compartmentalized, they're on a need-to-know basis, and they're actually told that they're saving the world from global warming or whatever by dimming the sun. But no, the airlines are not involved anymore. Potential, possibly maybe a teeny little bit to fill in the gaps, but I don't think so. I don't think they're, while you're loading yourselves onto the plane, I don't think they're sneaking over little chemicals and putting it in there.
I mean, they started so long ago.
It's not
Really,
like that.
the timeline on this is incredible. Like you said, you started, Frankenskies back in 1920. So I mean, we've been this has been going on build up for quite some time.
Yeah.
If I may, I'll just give you a quick. I have a breakdown of the timeline, but I won't go over all of it right now. But going all the way back to 1891. 1891, there's a patent by the U.S. government for a method of producing rainfall. I recommend people search online. There's some articles out there. 175 patents proving geoengineering and weather control to be real. 1947, Project Cirrus, CIRRUS.
Yes.
It was a collaboration between General Electric, the Navy, and the Air Force on October 13th, 1947. Dry ice is what they use a lot to manipulate the weather, which is condensed carbon dioxide, right? So they're spraying massive amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and then blaming us for it, right?
Yeah, that footage that you put in the movie is fascinating. I've never seen that stuff. It is, there's
incredible.
a lot going on there.
Unreal. So 1947, they sprayed a hurricane that was off the coast of Georgia, and it had left. It was going out to sea, and this hurricane rapidly intensified by being sprayed with dry ice. It made a 180-degree turn. It came back to Georgia, hit the coast. 1947 caused over $2 million in damages, and there were lawsuits from the public suing the U.S. government for manipulating this hurricane. So in 1947, they were already learning how to steer hurricanes, how to manipulate them, and the timeline continues on.
We've forgotten all
rattle
that.
it off if you like.
That storm, we've completely forgotten about that.
Matt, I mean, that was one of the more fascinating aspects of your film. I had never heard about that. The trajectory of that hurricane, like you said, was absolutely unprecedented. And of course the government would do something like that and then roll back the next day and go, oh my gosh, look at what we've done. And it was absolutely fascinating to learn that from your film.
Thanks. And also, Lyndon B. Johnson, 1962, right? If you go back to the history books or go back to my movie or whatever, this is right before JFK got assassinated. 1 year before JFK got assassinated, LBJ comes out and gives a speech at Southwest Texas State University.
Yes.
He says, control the weather, control the world. And he like grinds his teeth as he says it, and his eyes get all dark, and he looks like an evil megalomaniac, you know?
Which is
so
exactly what it was.
they knew at that point that they were already learning how to weaponize storms and steer them and what have you. And even if you fast forward to 2009, Bill Gates and Microsoft, they came out with and purchased and own a patent on hurricane control and halting hurricanes. So just like how maybe like General Motors will find out that someone's making a car that runs on water or whatever, or hydrogen or something, and they'll buy the patent and put it on the shelf.
In the filing cabinet.
Right, exactly. So in 2009, Bill Gates, our buddy, right? He comes out and owns the patent on squashing hurricanes. So then anytime after that, when the hurricanes are slamming into somewhere, we can talk about Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Harvey, which I really want to talk about a couple of these as we go. But his technology could make the hurricane stop but instead he's mum and doesn't even say anything about it because he's not on our side, right? Not on the side of humanity.
No. All right, we've got much more with Matt Landman, who's a documentary filmmaker, director of Frankenskies. Talk to him more about all of this coming up in a minute. Aging sneaks up on us, doesn't it? I used to leap out of bed, ready to get started on the day. Now, mornings come with creaky joints, a bit less pep, a lot less pep, frankly. Notice my energy dipping in that, sort of middle-aged or even beyond middle creeping in. It's not just me, though. It's science. Introducing Qualia Senolytic. It's a first-of-its-kind formula to help your body clear out senescent cells. These zombie cells, as many call them, linger, and they sap your energy and just make you feel old. Senolytics are revolutionizing aging science, and Qualia Senolytics, 9 vegan plant-derived compounds, work to naturally eliminate these cells. You take it just 2 days a month. That's it. And you could feel years younger in just a couple of months. Less fatigue, faster recovery, and fewer aches and pains. It's vegan, it's non-GMO, and it's backed by leading scientists. Since starting Qualia Senolytic, just got more energy, less soreness, and just get things done. Experience the science of feeling younger. Go to Qualia Life, Qualia Life, qualialife.com/Pat. Get up to 50% off your purchase, and use the promo code Pat for an additional 15%. That's qualialife.com/Pat. Your older self will thank you. And we want to thank Qualia for sponsoring this particular segment.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
All right, so Matt, I know you want to touch on Hurricane Harvey here that you mentioned. So if you could tell us what your thoughts are on that, but we have to talk about HAARP and Operation Woodpecker, all that stuff. I mean, this is just... This film, I can't say it enough, is just full of so much information.
No question. And before we get, I know you're talking about Harvey, but do we know if the halt hurricane technology actually works? Or, do we have any idea if that technology actually does work? So if your friend, Bill Gates, were to be asked about it, he would say, it just never worked, right? I decided to buy it just to get it off the market.
Oh, well, certainly their technology works to either intensify or quell storms. It's been very well researched going back, all the way to the late 1800s, right? And so how would Bill Gates answer? I don't know. I've seen him get a pie in the face. I don't know if you guys have seen that footage. But I doubt he would be very honest about it. And I would love to talk about HAARP and Operation Woodpecker. And for those of you listening, I know that we have short attention spans nowadays, right? And Frankenskies, it's a movie. It's 80 minutes long. But if you just watch it in segments, you can watch the first 10 minutes. I've sat naysayers down, coworkers. I've sat them down and been like, please just watch the first 10 minutes. Yeah. And 10 minutes in, they'll look at me after years of saying that I was crazy. Yeah. They'll look at me and be like, whoa, they've been doing this for a while, huh, Matt? It is self-evident. It's not one of those documentaries with a voiceover.
Exactly.
Or some emotional heartstrings.
It's just facts.
Just facts.
Yeah.
It's just facts.
Yeah.
So Frankenskies, Frank E.N. Skies. It's on Frankenskies.com. It's all over the place. Gets a little censored here and there, but you can definitely find it. It's very readily available. It's translated into a dozen languages. It came out in 2017. It's been seen by about 100 million people.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Regarding Harvey, which I bring up Harvey because there's been these floods in Texas. And I'm circling back, remembering Harvey in 2017. Mm-hmm. Hurricane Harvey, so this gets a little complicated because we're not just dealing with like planes spraying, cloud seeding and stuff like that. It's very advanced now. And you've got the military-industrial complex working with the Department of Energy, and it's very layered. So what happens is the Department of Energy, who's in on it, and there's a 2001 document called the Tropospheric Aerosol Program of the Department of Energy, which is available on my websites. I have a website, Frankenskies.com, actualactivists.com as well, or it's just easily looked up, TAPDOE PDF. And this very verbose 100-page document, it won't use the word contrails, chemtrails, or geoengineering, but it talks about how they launched their program for managing the troposphere with aerosols. And it's right before 9/11, the biggest distraction we've ever seen, basically, or, pre-lockdowns. So March 2001, this document comes out, hidden in plain sight. And it outlines how the Department of Energy is completely in on it. And so they have a fleet of planes and drones. They spray the troposphere, which is a layer of the atmosphere. And now what we deal with is not just the spraying from planes, but the Department of Energy, through these moisture plumes coming out of power plants. Big clouds are cranked out of power plants 24/7. And these clouds are managed, and then they are used to intensify hurricanes, to make flooding and what have you. So there are cloud-making devices on the ground, and also there are cloud-making devices at sea, and also power plants and what have you in industrial applications where they have these moisture plumes. Like a nuclear power plant has like this constant plume of moisture coming off of it. These things are utilized as well. So what happened with Hurricane Harvey that flooded out Texas in 2017 is the storm kept circling back. It circled back 3 times to reload on these moisture plumes that were perfectly timed and released from power plants to add to the storm so that it could continue to flood out Houston, I believe it was.
It was Houston, yeah.
So now in Texas, rest in peace to those impacted. We've got in Karnes County this flooding, in the Guadalupe River. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it, and it's tragic, right? And my prayers, I'm not cold-hearted. My prayers go out to everyone involved. And also, the media uses this as an opportunity to push this climate change, global warming, fear-mongering propaganda that really you can't say it's a conspiracy or you're just evil because people died and how could you, how dare you? But the fact is, this flooding was engineered. It was well planned, and even the headlines thereafter were well planned as well to get us. Go ahead.
Is the allegation there that they intensify these things so that they can push the global warming agenda? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Climate change, global warming, yeah.
So they don't care how many people die. They don't care about wiping people's lives out. They don't care about any of that.
No, a handful of years ago, there was flooding in Pakistan that killed tens of thousands. It's not just like dozens of people. They do things very well calculated. In Valencia, Spain, the World Economic Forum and what have you, they remove dams. They're like rewilding the regions, and so they remove all these dams, and then they engineer rainstorms, and then these places that are in flood zones that were usually protected by these dams, they get flooded out, and it's very well calculated. They remove the dams that were protective. They dump the rain on purpose in the specific area and even refuel it with, like I'm saying, ground-based stations and what have you, but especially the cloud seeding and whatnot. And then they don't say anything about the truth, right? Just like the fires. Like you can make rain over these fires, but they don't. And instead they make wind over the fires. And the fires is actually something we should talk about as well, because I live in the West Coast and we get it really bad. It's even right now there's fires popping up. But in Texas, what they do and did is they seed clouds to make a lot more rain than normal. They pump up the clouds with more moisture than would be there. And they even do things like release water from dams or drill out aquifers. So there's like other things happening, like Hurricane Helene. Last year, Hurricane Helene really woke a lot of people up. This hurricane went into North Carolina, went into the mountains of Asheville, North Carolina, and flooded out a mountain community hundreds of miles from the coast, which hurricanes don't do that. And people are starting to remember, hurricanes don't do that. Yeah, so how come they're all of a sudden, how are they getting into the mountains and flooding out mountain communities hundreds of miles from the coast? And science and mainstream will say global warming, climate change, but the reality is these things are engineered 100%. So the floods in Texas is just another headline that they can hit. And so that when they do offer some sort of solution, which is control of the weather or modifying the climate or whatever, people will be excited about it. They'll be thankful for it.
Yeah.
They'll be willing to put their taxpayers towards it. Oh, we might lose a little bit of sunlight and vitamin D and crops. We'll maybe not be able to grow food, but at least we'll be able to handle this horrible situation, which is global warming, climate change. If you go back to the 80s, mind you, they were talking about this ice age that we're entering.
Right.
So
Yep.
So here we are, and they're trying to dim the sun by laying out aluminum in the sky, which will create a greenhouse effect, mind you. They're not going to do what they claim. But it's all throughout the media and predictive programming. Have y'all seen the movie Snowpiercer by chance?
Yes.
Snowpiercer, it starts off with chemtrails, like the very beginning of this Hollywood film. And then they say, global warming got so bad that we had to spray the sky with aerosols. But whoops, we threw the world into an ice age and every single person died except for these people on this train.
Except for these people on the train. This really long train.
Right.
Yeah, I was forced to watch that, actually. My wife loves that stupid show.
Oh, man.
Right. Yeah, they turned it into a show, too. Yeah.
Wow. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, and
It's
he
a
hasn't
lot
even
to take in.
started discussing HARP and woodpecker.
Right.
I know.
Right. Is Harvey the only one that you know of? Are they doing this to all hurricanes? Do they do this every time to intensify these things?
So Hurricane Katrina, they used this program called HAMP, the Hurricane Atmospheric Modification Program, where they used drones and they released black carbon soot to strengthen and intensify the outer eye wall. And that was like a real estate grab, and it was a lot that Katrina did.
Wow.
Do they do it to every hurricane? Yeah, but when did they start doing it? I mean, not the 40s, but have they been doing it since then? Maybe not every single one, but definitely over the past 20 years, 30 years, they've been doing all they can for this agenda, which is creating climate catastrophe, intensification of these storms. And I mean, so I'm making a sequel film, Frankenskies 2 Climate Chains, like shackles. Mm-hmm. And there's an instance in this film that I'm trying to elaborate on that they even do it weaponized to show everyone who's boss. So Puerto Rico, they defaulted on their debt to the IMF, and they're like, look, we can't pay you guys. Your loans are predatory, and we're just going to default on the World Bank, right? They hit them with simultaneous hurricanes, especially Hurricane Maria, I believe it was, killing lots of people and like devastating the island of Puerto Rico. And the politicians of Puerto Rico knew that this was the New World Order saying, you better pay us. And so afterwards, they're like, just kidding. We're not going to default on our debt. Please don't flood us out anymore. So, and then President Ahmadinejad of Iran was coming out very vocal, saying that they were becoming drought-stricken because their clouds were being drained before the systems got into Iran. So it's a weaponization technique. Project Popeye, all the way back in the 60s. So for people that think this is, a conspiracy theory or whatever, you can just look it up in Wikipedia, Project Popeye. And the U.S. military flooded the Ho Chi Minh Trail for like 5 straight years. They made it flood to mess with the trade routes, so the Viet Cong couldn't, move things around as easy. But weaponization of weather has gone all the way back to the beginning of the 1900s. Cloud seeding was very much a popular thing, even in the 1970s. I pulled up newspaper articles through microfiche and whatnot, and you wouldn't believe it. It was so common practice that farmers could seed clouds as they passed over their crops. And so it was public. And farmers wouldn't just seed with silver iodide or dry ice. They would seed clouds by just spraying a little dust up into the sky. They would seed clouds with the minerals that their crops needed. So say your crops were deficient in potassium, they would spray potassium up in the sky, and it would rain mineral-rich water. But then come the 80s and 90s, the military-industrial complex and whatnot knew that they were going to be doing this in the future, and they didn't want everyone to know about this. So the information just got swept under the rug, and now we've got, which I'll just go into the fires things real quick, They spray aluminum oxide and barium salts, which are patented fire accelerants. They spray fire accelerants on our forests. Then the aluminum gets in the trees, and it's a desiccant, so it dries them out. And it messes with the soil biome and makes it so the soil is really alkaline, so the tree gets sick and whatnot, and then different things like funguses and beetles can take over and what have you. But you've got fire accelerants embedded in these trees, all over these trees for decades. Then they can actually precipitate lightning. They can make lightning storms or higher arsons on the ground, which they do. So they get these fires going on the West Coast especially, but these things are happening all over the country now, the world. Incredible. And then when the fires get going, they'll even engineer wind, as we saw in like Lahaina, Maui, and what have you, and Paradise, California. There's a lot of different instances, or Palisades, LA. They engineer wind on top of the, like extreme wind, on top of these fires, and then they act like they can't make rain, which they can, right? And then they just scratch their heads. Oh no, well, climate change, and oh well, we really got to start thinking about, not using so much carbon, and maybe we'll introduce a social credit system that calculates how much carbon you use, because carbon is the enemy, which is pointing the finger at us. We exhale carbon all day long, right?
Much more with Matt coming
Pat
up.
Gray, the Blaze Radio Network.
Great to have you with us. 888-933-93. We're speaking with Matt Landman, who's a documentary filmmaker, made a great movie, great documentary. He directed Frankenskies, and it's fascinating, it's chilling, and it's eye-opening. If you have ever wondered about the chemtrails, if you've ever wondered about operations like HARP, heard about Agent Orange, all these things are discussed in the movie.
It's been going on for so long.
Been going on for a long
time.
Yeah.
And the information about the cloud seeding and the chemtrails, like those are two separate things, right? But we're putting them together as they're working together. Because I can see, I get the farmer trying to shoot whatever nutrients he needs in a cloud to help grow his crops. But it's the government that is telling him, you should calm down with you doing it, and we'll take care of it.
And it's intensifying hurricanes. That's a real problem.
Yeah, that's a real problem.
Yeah. But Matt, your contention is that this has been going on for a good long time.
Yeah, it has. There's also Project Storm Fury, which is very easily looked up, and it was from 1962 to 1983. So it was a 21-year project of weaponizing hurricanes. So like if you just want to look into that one specific project, it'll be very eye-opening, right? And I'd love to get into HARP and what have you. I tend to go on tangents, so you guys please just cut me off.
No, we got a lot of ground to cover for sure. Yeah, do you want to go to Woodpecker here and
Sure.
HARP? Yeah, that's kind of like the Cold War weather wars, huh?
Yes, and it's fascinating how this kind of technology is kept quiet until it's not. Because if you watch the movie Frankenskies, in the movie so people say, oh, HARP, that's just a conspiracy theory, right? But in the film Frankenskies, it's discussed, and there's even a Senate committee hearing where they're talking to like DARPA and what have you, and there's a gentleman who says, we're done with HARP. We're moving on to more advanced tech. Right. We're going to pass this on to like the university and what have you. But we've been able to use it to the extent that we wanted to use it. So that alone is like, okay, well, if they're discussing it publicly in a Senate, congressional hearing, that it is very much a real thing. HARP, H-A-R-P. HAARP is an acronym. It stands for the Highly Active Auroral Research Program. So they're messing with the aurorals, which is fascinating now that we're getting these like different and new, which is we live in this world of disinformation. And so we have to think back, well, how are things in the past? Oh, all of a sudden we're getting northern lights down in Florida. Does this make sense? Right? And in some instances, it's like, no, just take out your phone. If you can't see the aurora borealis, the northern lights, just take out your phone and you can see it through your phone, but not through your naked eye. Right? Which is fascinating when you look up like the Samsung phones, that if you take a picture of the full moon, it'll actually go online and find a photo of the full moon and then show you it.
Well,
not
a better
the image
picture,
you took.
a better picture.
Right. A better photo. Right. Or an AI composite or whatever. But it's interesting because it's an attack on our own discernment, on our own memories, right? Well, if you go on the HARP website, they say, oh, yeah, we flip the switch, and I'll explain what HARP is in a second, and we electrify the atmosphere, and we create what looks like aurora borealis. So they do create what looks exactly like the northern lights with this technology, and they very well could do what they're doing in Florida and say, oh, the sun is getting more intensified, which I believe is leading to this demonization of the sun, which they've been doing all the while through like, oh yeah, wear your sunscreen. And
that was the end game, right? That was the end game, is to dim that.
Right. The end game is to block out the sun.
Right.
And then you can go down rabbit holes and be like, well, how deep and dark is this? Are they trying to depopulate, or is it even a spiritual thing, or what is it exactly? I know that my crops, that my garden won't do well if the sun is blocked out by aluminum and heavy metals.
Food won't grow very well if the sun is dimmed out. Yeah.
That's just common sense.
Yeah, it
right?
is.
But they want to maybe create like a pretend solar flare and do an EMP and say, oh, wow, the sun's getting so wild. We really have to roll out that geoengineering thing now. You're welcome. And we'll just get after paycheck for it. You know what I mean? So that's something that might be on the horizon. And it's important for people to see the writing on the wall and realize, what the truth is. I like the saying, realize, real lies, but also real eyes realize real skies, right? I know it's all a tongue twister, but so 1999.
You can work on that for the second film. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Right. Thanks. So 1999, HARP first started having publicly known operations in Alaska, and HARP is this like football field of antennas. They're like 70 feet tall. Yeah, there's a great example.
180 of them, right?
180 antennas that can pick a focal point anywhere on Earth, and microwave the sky. So if you put food in a microwave, which if you have a microwave in your house, I encourage you to throw it out. It's not good for you. I've got an EMF meter, and chemtrails weren't paying the bills, so I actually have an EMF protection company, EMF clothing line and whatnot.
Nice.
Which I'll go ahead and plug that if you don't mind. It's Spero, S-P-E-R-O, which means hope in Latin, and Spero Gear is the website, S-P-E-R-O Gear. And I even made a coupon code Blaze for your loyal customers.
Oh, that's awesome.
So check that out, please. Yeah, if y'all want to check that out, that'd be great.
I care about it, but I'm not giving up the microwave. Okay, we're not doing that.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that. I even sell incandescent light bulbs, just FYI. So, yeah. So if you put food in the microwave, what happens is there's microwaves from either side colliding at your food. So there's two sets of microwaves hitting the food from opposite angles, and that causes an oscillation of the water molecules and heats them up through vibrating them. So that similar technology of intersecting microwaves is used in the sky. So that HARP, all those antennas are basically like a microwave for the sky, and they'll even spray metal in the atmosphere and then microwave that, and it gets really, really hot. So that's how the chemtrails and the HARP antennas work together.
And how many of the HARP areas are there on the globe? That one map showed how many HARP. What is there? At least half a dozen, right?
Well, this is old footage, and this is from the History Channel. So, mind you, they're not going to tell you everything. But even in this disclosure, this is some sort of disclosure, right?
Right.
There's dozens of them. But now the technology has been shrunk down, and it's even mobile. It's on aircraft carriers and what have you. It looks like these giant golf balls, and they call it Doppler, and they say, oh, Doppler radar is predicting the weather. Well, it's also engineering the weather, so it's easy to predict it when you're actually engineering it. So it's called NEXRAD, NEXRAD, and they put these things on hillsides and aircraft carriers, and they just happen to be at the right place at the wrong time when these things are steering hurricanes and steering jet streams and what have you. And the more you look into it, the more oddly nefarious that it gets. It's like our government is funding this, like, steering jet streams, creating climate catastrophe, intensifying and steering hurricanes. I mean, if they had this technology, why don't they just steer the hurricanes out to sea? How come they intensify them over lithium deposits in Asheville, North Carolina last year?
That's coincidence.
Yeah, it must just be all coincidence. But I encourage people to look up what these NEXRAD giant golf ball things look like. And then if you keep your eye on the sky, I like the phrase, look up, wake up. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe science or whatever. You don't even have to watch my movie. If you just keep an eye to your sky every time you're outside. Some people, like the most people that I've noticed that reach out to me that are really aware and awake, they work outside. They're arborists, they're farmers, they're people that are outside all the time, and they look up all the time. But if you've got a desk job, look out your window. If you've got a window, or on your lunch break, whatever it is, or on your weekends, just look up and you'll start to see things that make you scratch your head. You'll see planes side by side mixing chemicals together. And one will have like a longer trail, one will have a shorter trail. They're using the atmosphere as a laboratory. That's a NASA quote. NASA, with a budget of $80 million per day, they have a chemtrail program called CARE, C-A-R-E. And they don't really care. It's actually ironic. It stands for the Charged Aerosol Release Experiment. And if you look it up, they publicly say, yeah, we mix aluminum, barium, strontium. We make noctilucent clouds in your atmosphere. And they show you pictures of these beautiful noctilucent clouds that are like aerosol-looking crazy chemtrail clouds, right?
Oh, the new clouds.
Yeah, some of those new clouds. So they'll spray the skies if you just watch the skies. And oftentimes the haze, as it starts to get milky and what have you, it'll then be zapped by the microwave stations, the ground-based stations, the HARP, the NEXRAD, what have you, whatever term you want to give it. Which this all gets really scientific, and all you have to do is look at the sky. You don't need these terms or anything. And once the haze unravels and they zap the sky, then you'll see these ripples. Like when you throw a pebble in the pond or whatever, these ripples are the intersecting microwaves in the sky. Have you all seen those before?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Sadly, yes.
Rippled sky. Rippled sky. And it won't just arrive like a normal cloud formation. It's the unraveling metallic sky, and it's this haze, and then all of a sudden, it's just got these ripples in it because the microwave stations have been turned on. So remember back when we used to watch the weather. I don't know if people still watch TV and watch the weather on TV. We got the internet now. But I remember growing up, you're glued to you have to, watch it. It's like right in the news and what have you. And I'm like waiting for snow days and whatnot.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And the H's and L's, they make a big
Yes, they
impact.
do. Always.
It's H is high pressure, rising air, heat, and low is dropping. And if these two things clash together, they can make tornadoes, they can make hurricanes, they can make thunderstorms.
Yes.
High pressure is heat, so it makes heat waves, all these sort of things. And there's even a patent on creating tornadoes, and this is through clashing these systems together. But they can make H's by spraying the atmosphere and then superheating it, and then you can form these H's. And so we had a really bad drought for like 5 straight years in California. Back when I first got into this in 2015, come to find out they're just making a big high pressure bubble off the coast, and the jet stream couldn't come directly into Northern California, so it had to go around it, and then we weren't getting our seasonal deluge, or we weren't getting our seasonal rainfall because of this big high pressure bubble. So a lot can be done with making high pressure bubbles, even smaller ones and what have you. But that's what the HARP antenna array does, is it can steer storms, make high pressure bubbles, make a big high pressure bubble at the border of Iran, so the storm systems have to go around it and they don't get their rain in Iran, There's a lot that can be done with microwaving the sky. And then woodpecker was an ELF, an extremely low frequency, here we go, Russian woodpecker, which was It's kind of top secret and what have you, but it was also used for maybe weather engineering, but also for psychological stuff. Like you can put people in we're beings of frequency, which I'm still just now learning about, like our brain waves. Like when you're sleeping or in a meditative state, you're in a theta brainwave state, and like all these things are frequencies. If you learn about binaural beats, your brain will just pick up the differential between these two headphones, and you can put yourself into like 8 hertz or whatever, and put yourself into a meditative state just by listening to binaural beats. But we're very sensitive beings of frequency. Our different organs, and I'm learning about Chinese medicine and meridians and what have you. Our organs are different frequencies. Our brainwave status depends. It dictates our mood. So you can literally change the frequency with invisible tech, right? And then agitate people just based on their brainwave status. So
that's already been tested. We already know that is
Interesting.
happening. I mean, outside of woodpecker, right? I mean, we've already the Cuban thing.
Oh yeah, the Cuban lasers thingy. Yeah, yeah. But one thing that I was going to tell you guys, I done the look up theory that Matt was talking about. My solar panels are no longer producing the same amount of solar energy that I was getting in 2019.
Oh wow!
I am not even close to half. I'm maybe 20 to 30%.
Is that the panel's fault, or you're blaming the skies?
So I did the whole. They came and did an entire assessment of the solar panels. Everything's working at 100%. Tesla does not know what happened. I know what happened.
What happened?
That thing.
The skies are dimming.
The skies are dimming.
The sun is dimmed.
Yeah.
I will say, this summer in Texas has been unusually cool.
And also, it's also been unusually cloudy.
And cloudy, yeah.
Unusually cloudy.
We have usually had 100-degree temperatures.
Yes.
We haven't gotten anywhere near that.
I've only been able to bake like 1 or 2 loaves of bread on my sidewalk so far
and fry
this
a
summer.
few eggs.
That's it.
But not like normal.
No, normally.
Not like normal.
Right.
But like Matt was talking about, I've done the research. My thing is 30. A good day, if I'm not home and everything's running on zero, I get to 49%. But I'm not getting to 90 or 100% or to the point where I'm selling it back to them.
Matt, would you attribute to that the dimming of the sun?
Oh, definitely. In my film Frankenskies, there's an activist that I interview who woke up from just that. He was noticing he wasn't making as much on his solar panels, and he's like, what gives? And he starts looking at the sky, and sometimes it just takes
dimmer.
Sometimes it takes just that.
Right.
Wow. The sun is now being dimmed, and you can see the lines being put out. Sometimes it'll be a perfectly clear day, and the planes will just go in front of the sun and do an X, and then your crops are impacted. I've got in my garden, sometimes the crops bolt and think that it's winter. They're confused, right? Oh, all of a sudden the sun is less. It must be winter, right? And they'll go to seed, what have you. This is all by design, and it's being practiced and perfected to, create food shortages, to lessen the amount of sun that we get.
It's crazy.
Sure.
The irony that they're encouraging people with this green agenda to put solar panels on their home. Meanwhile, with the green agenda, they're also dimming the sun, and then slowly spoon feeding us it, and saying, we're going to dim your sun in the future. Don't worry, it'll be good.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. It's almost like something sinister is happening.
It is as if something sinister is happening.
It can't be that, obviously.
It cannot be that.
And don't take my word for it. Like Matt said, look up. And Jeffy's been saying this for the longest time. Look up.
Look up. I've been saying it.
Yeah, and Matt mentioning, what they're saying. One guy that I was introduced to from this film is David Keith. That guy is terrifying. We need to know everything we can about him. He has nefarious plans for humanity. David Keith.
And we've got more with Matt Landman, director of Frankenskies. If you haven't seen this documentary, you need to seek it out and find it and watch it. It's amazing. More coming up.
Pat Gray Unleashed on the Blaze Radio Network. Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Good morning, American. It's Friday.
Having a fascinating discussion with Matt Landman, who is a documentary filmmaker. He's the director of Frankenskies. This is a documentary you want to see. It's fascinating, and it talks about all the weather manipulation that's been going on, all of these projects over the years that the U.S. government has been involved in. And he even includes the Russian government as well with Operation Woodpecker, or whatever they called their thing.
Yeah.
But Matt joins us for the rest of the show as well. And Matt, I'm just wondering these techniques about intensifying hurricanes, redirecting hurricanes. Does this making rainfall, making droughts, does this work every time? Or, I mean, is it that exact a science that they have it down that well? Or does it go wrong sometimes? Does it not work sometimes?
Savannah, Georgia, 1947, right?
Well, practice makes perfect. And so they've been sharpening the tools in their tool belt for quite some time. And now they're using such advanced technology with electromagnetic frequencies and what have you. If we were in the 1950s or something, I would say, not everything works all the time. But at this point, they have sharpened their tools to the degree that it's a precision military technique.
So they can get done whatever they intend to get done. To make it rain, make it flood, make a drought if they want. They can do all of those things whenever they please.
Yes, they can. I encourage people to look up a 2003 patent called the Patent for Hurricane and Tornado Control and Steering. They come out with these technologies, they perfect it, and then they patent it so it can't be taken by the enemy and what have you. Even in 2016, scientists create a Category 5 hurricane in a lab. That's pretty fascinating that they can just whip up a Category 5 hurricane. Before we had the commercial break,
where did they do that? Before you move on from that, where did that happen? They created a hurricane in a lab?
I don't know. It's in my show notes. I believe this was at university level, so it's that public. It's that public that they're leaking it out, and all this weather engineering is normalization, kind of predictive programming kind of thing. I apologize. It would take me just 5 seconds to Google it. 2016 scientists create Category 5 hurricane in a lab. I'm not.
Yeah,
really
we can look that up.
Exactly.
Sure. Well, I already found the patent.
You found it?
While you look that up, Matt, I found the patent you talked about in 2003, complete with the drawings.
Oh my gosh!
Of the hurricane, and tornado creator.
It's wild.
That's insane.
Yeah,
what year was that?
It's wild.
2003.
I thought of that in 2004.
See,
darn
just a little late.
Darn it.
They beat you to it, man. You got to be quicker to the patent
You got to
office.
follow that patent quickly.
Yeah, you do. You
So,
do.
while you're, you got it?
$45 million. Wow, $45 million lab at the University of Miami.
Where they created
So
the
that's
Cat 5 hurricane.
Yeah,
That's insane.
They're doing it 2016. And the name David Keith was mentioned before we took the commercial break.
That guy.
So, this guy, he's the Bill Gates puppet, right?
Yes.
He's David W. Keith. He's from Calgary, Canada. He's not even an American. I can't believe I just said that. So anyway, he's a Harvard professor.
Welcome to the show.
He's the front puppet. Normalizing the concept of geoengineering.
Yep.
And he's all about this double speak, and he's. So when I first got into this, I first learned about chemtrails from working on a farm and watching them squash this storm when I thought we were supposed to get this 100% chance of rain for a week and alleviate the drought. All these planes showed up. And that's another thing, this irregular pattern of appearance of planes. Like some people live in rural America where you don't see any air traffic for days. And then on the edge of a storm, 20 planes show up, gridding the sky. And then the storm will either be intensified or it won't drop any rain at all. And I witnessed no rain being dropped. This was back in 2014. Around 2015, I devoted my life to this. And I never thought that I would have an arch nemesis. I just thought I'd be out there. I thought I'd be out there trying to expose the stuff and rattle people's cages a little bit, and maybe I'd make a documentary, what have you. Never thought that I would just despise somebody, but Bill Gates and David Keith. David Keith is his like front runner. So in 2018, David Keith was to do this Bill Gates funded experiment, dimming the sun, spraying aluminum over the city of Tucson, Arizona. And I went down there and had a conference and a protest on Mother's Day for Mother Earth. And we had this big rally. It was amazing. And we put that whole experiment on hiatus. We stopped them from doing this sun-dimming normalization experiment. And yeah, we must hate each other at this point. But yeah, David W. Keith, he is the boogeyman. And if you look him up, he's out there just selling the idea. And he's got... So real quick, he's got these carbon capture technology too, which if they want to capture carbon, they never mention planting trees, which is like the perfect carbon capture tech. But he's got these like fans that suck it out and then put it in the ground, and he gets all this government money to supposedly absorb carbon from the atmosphere. Probably doesn't even work. I hate the guy. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, Stephen Colbert was spooked in the interview with the guy. You know, I mean, Stephen Colbert's not funny to begin with, but he couldn't even find any kind of humor in this guy's presentation on his show. I mean, it's terrifying what these people are doing. Can you talk about because you talked about Tucson and getting that stopped, and good job with that. But what about Corpus Christi? What about St. Louis? What about these experiments that our government has been running on an unsuspecting population? Can you explain that and what the end result? You want to talk about lawsuits? That's some bad stuff that happened there.
Well, that's a great. Thank you so much for bringing that up. When people encounter this, the chemtrail narrative, the same questions pop up. Because people have good spirits and they want to believe in the good of humanity. But when people encounter evil, they don't want to believe that there is evil. It's just too much for people, really. And so people say things like, they wouldn't do that, or they wouldn't do that to themselves, or how could they, or I trust my government, or what are you, anti-American? It's like, no, I'm not anti-American. So in my film, Frankenskies, I had to kind of crush this idea that the government completely loves and looks out for us. So in St. Louis, Missouri, during what was it, the 70s and 80s, the Air Force picked this low-income area of St. Louis, and they outfit station wagons and rooftop sprayers, and they use planes as well. And they said, we're just doing a smoke screen to make sure we don't get attacked by the Russians or whatever. So don't worry, it's harmless. But they sprayed radioactive, what was it? Some radioactive substances, zinc, cadmium sulfide or something like that. It's radioactive cancer-causing substances over these projects that were primarily children.
Yeah, they were breathing toxic air.
Yeah, and then they sat back and watched how many people died from it. Okay, and a lot of people had respiratory illnesses and didn't die and what have you.
And people had issue with this?
Well,
people had issue with the government
Some
testing.
people are so sensitive,
They
Jeffy.
sure are.
Well, what's crazy in the code it says you can't do this to other countries, but if you want to experiment on your own people,
go ahead.
No one's gonna then go ahead. And it happens.
It's unreal.
It happens.
It's unreal.
It's ongoing. It's really shocking.
Yeah.
But it is. It is very real. And I mean, just look at what happened during the lockdowns and what have you. Like, people get experimented on under the guise of it's for your own good or you're welcome.
Well, another aspect that's hard to get past for people, for me, Matt, is if this is all true, if this is accurate, and the U.S. government is performing this kind of technology on its own people, it doesn't seem to matter then whether it's a conservative, a progressive, a Democrat, a Republican. It doesn't seem to matter who's in office. They just keep doing it, right? I mean, is that what you're alleging? Do every president who's been in office since 1920 has been involved in this stuff?
Yes and no. During the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and even the 60s and what have you, this was being perfected, and it was probably pitched as, management of the rainfall, and we better do it or the Russians will get this technology, what have you, and we better be able to weaponize things or they could do it too and whatnot.
By
But
the time
once
we
LBJ
had, I was going to say LBJ is telling us that you control the world.
Yeah, and I
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
I have yes, and since you did, I'll continue.
Okay.
No, LBJ. I have no doubt, to Pat's point, is an evil SOB
I have
who
no
would
doubt.
have his fingers in every meeting about, especially the Viet Cong and all that stuff.
Ronald Reagan, I wouldn't believe that about.
That's more deep state stuff, right? Where they don't even know what's going on over here, and they're just not going to tell every single president. I'm guessing that's what it comes down to.
I think presidents are kept in the dark oftentimes, and that's just part of the agenda. The thing about this is it's above presidents. This is like some
which is
new
chilling.
world order.
Yeah, that's no doubt
chilling
Very
that it's
chilling.
above presidents. Yeah.
I mean, that's
In
use of money.
1995. In 1995, the U.S. Air Force came out with a document titled "Owning the Weather by 2025." I encourage people to look this up. 1995 document out of the U.S. Air Force, "Owning the Weather by 2025." And now it's 2025, and the weather is completely controlled. And, is there a hijacking of the military-industrial complex? Is it really like what we thought it was? I mean, just look at 9/11 and other things. There's definitely something happening where there's an erosion of the integrity from within.
Oh, yes.
But I go all the way back to like paperclip. You know what I mean? My rabbit hole goes deep, and I question, what happened there and how that evolved. The evolution thereof of Operation Paperclip, which is World War II war criminals were honestly handed the keys to our nation through Hollywood, MK Ultra, NASA, and all these very well-funded programs. So how could that be, and how could that evolve into where we're at? Is how I extrapolate things and try to hypothesize how did we get to where we're at, right?
So being at a level above presidents, you're alluding to like a new world order kind of thing, right? You mentioned Club of Rome. That's something I don't think I've ever heard that term. What is Club of Rome?
Well, like things like the Club of Rome and the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg Group.
Yeah, it's part of that.
And the Bohemian Grove
Illuminati, all of that.
Yeah, these are world elites,
Yeah.
past presidents, future and past world leaders that come together, and maybe it's a bloodline thing. Maybe it gets weird and deep and dark. Maybe they have to pledge their allegiance to Satan. I don't know.
Yeah,
exactly.
the Club of Rome, though, that was in the early 70s, right? And it was with that got their start. And there were some other named people that we know today were a big part of that, and what they released. God, where did we talk about that?
I don't know. I don't remember Club of Rome.
And all this. They come together and order out of chaos. Right?
Yep.
Order out of chaos is their MO. And I don't think that they're done with it yet. I mean, they call it Agenda 2030 for a reason, and we're 5 years out from that. And Agenda 2030 it's very in depth, but it involves pushing people out of rural communities and into like these 15-minute smart cities so that they can be controlled, corralled, contained, and
easily modified.
What have you, through injections and whatnot, whatever they want to do to the populace and what have you. But it definitely seems like there's a battle of good and evil. And
sure
like
does.
People that are honoring the truth. Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
How deep your
and so weather
is.
manipulation is just all part of this, about leading us to that Agenda 2030.
The inevitable end.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. We've got more with Matt. It's chilling, it's fascinating, and we'll get to more of it coming up here. When the time comes for you to move, whether you're moving across town or whether you're moving across the country, you're going to want a real good real estate agent. And not just any agent. You want somebody who has a great track record, not somebody who just does it part-time on the side. Glenn found this out years ago when he used to have to move around a lot, and he got tired of dealing with crappy agents. So he created a free service called Real Estate Agents I Trust. What that does is connect you with a top-performing agent who really cares about your outcome. Agents who are experienced, they're fully vetted by Glenn's team, and fully committed to helping you buy or sell with confidence. Whether you're moving across the country or across town, it doesn't matter. These people are great. These are the people that Glenn would hire himself, and the only ones he puts his name behind. So your move isn't just a move, it's your life, and you deserve somebody who's going to treat it that way. And that's Real Estate Agents I Trust. The name really says it all. Go to realestateagentsitrust.com.
Pat Gray Unleashed. Sarcasm with 0 calories returns after this.
We are joined today by Matt Landman, documentary filmmaker. He's the director of Frankenskies. I mean, this is chilling stuff.
Yep.
U.S. government controlling the weather, and apparently they're pretty good at it. And they can intensify storms, can and do intensify hurricanes.
Like Matt said, just show them the first 10 minutes of the movie. I mean, documentary.
Yeah.
It's going to change people's mind very quickly.
Another thing, that I'm wondering about is the fires in Hawaii that everybody was so confused by. And
we've been confused about a lot of natural disasters lately. You know?
Sure have. But do you remember all the stories of the green beams coming down from
the blue
space?
Roof,
yeah.
And the
blue roofs. The homes with blue roofs didn't burn up or something. Matt, is there something to that, too? Was that a Chinese operation? Was that from the U.S. government? Was it
that's your boy Bill
none
Gates?
of the above? Oprah, maybe Oprah did it?
Regarding the fires in Lahaina, Maui, and Palisades, California, the recent ones in L.A., and others, I'm not too sure about the blue roofs and the lasers. I think that might be a little distraction kind of technique.
Okay.
But each house has these smart meters on it now. And the smart meters have lithium-ion batteries in them. And the lithium-ion batteries, if they get over 140 degrees Fahrenheit, they have this thing called thermal runaway where they ramp up to 4,000 degrees really fast. And also the electricity can surge through the smart meter.
Why would they?
That's how they read your home with that's what they use to
ramp up to 4,000 degrees quickly. That's a feature that is included.
Yes, for free.
So lithium-ion batteries are in like the electrical vehicles, and if they catch fire on the side of the road, that you can't really put them out. Right?
Yeah.
And so these lithium-ion batteries are rearing their ugly head. They're in a lot of things.
Yeah.
They're in electric bikes and what have you. And then we learned through different hurricanes that you can't get the lithium-ion batteries wet either, or they'll explode. And if they're like in a parking garage, they'll burn the whole concrete parking garage to the ground. They burn so hot.
Yeah.
That's convenient.
So these lithium-ion batteries are part of the new green movement.
Sure. They just they sunk another ship.
As we know, they want to like get rid of gasoline because that's gas is freedom, right? And they want to be able to limit how far we travel with these electrical cars and whatnot. That's part of the New World Order Agenda 2030, whatnot. So these batteries, they can explode. And even when Israel was maybe we shouldn't have even said that word. The conflict in the Middle East. It was Gaza and then it was Lebanon. And right when they went into Lebanon, they had these walkie-talkies and cell phones and whatnot like exploding.
Right.
I don't think explosives were actually implanted into these devices like months before the conflict. I think there's tech to superheat these.
That's fascinating.
Lithium-ion.
I was wondering how they pulled that
batteries,
off. That makes sense.
That does make sense.
Wow. That makes sense.
That they use the specific
every smart
locator.
Right. That's interesting.
It sure is.
Because that was a fascinating an incredible operation. That was, I mean, you just got to take your hat off to the Israelis on that. That was just, all right, you blew a bunch of guys' wieners off. Congratulations on that. That was impressive.
Now, don't do that to me, though. Don't point those things to me.
No.
A lot of people stopped putting their devices in their front pocket after that. Oh, my goodness.
So each home has a smart meter on it, right? For tracking and surveillance and what have you. And the smart meter is like this new digital meter that isn't the analog one. So you don't have to have the meter maid come to your house or whatever. But convenience and
they forced us into it many years ago.
And can I say, to your point earlier about the microwaves, I have a similar concern about the smart meter. Obviously, there's been plenty of talk about how unhealthy they are. But what I'm getting at is if you get yourself a little cheapy $10 EMF meter, go stand next to your smart meter on the side of your house. It is shocking what's being emitted off of that. And as soon as you get about 6-7 feet away from it, it dissipates. But it doesn't seem like it's the best thing to be having attached to your house, huh?
Well, you just don't stand next to it. What do we?
I know. Well, you mentioned a couple things there.
What's your deal?
There's a couple things there that's important. Yes, distance is your friend from EMF sources. So there's this thing called the inverse square law. It applies to sound and light, and EMF is light, just light that we can't see. So as you get further away from it, it dissipates exponentially. So that's important. The reason why I started my EMF protection clothing line and what have you, and I do have these smart meter guards that lessen the radiation off of it. I got injured by a smart meter. I didn't know when I was making the film Frankenskies, and I was working all day at home and sleeping in the same space. I didn't know there was a smart meter like 3 or 4 feet from me on the other side of the wall. And I started getting crazy heart palpitations. I became sensitive to my smartphone. It would like shock me. It would shock me every time I got it in my hand.
Wow.
And I started like venting to my landlord and friends, and my landlord jokingly said, haha, maybe it's that new smart meter they put in. And I had heard the word, and of course I had to dive down this rabbit hole. Wow. And then I started grounding and learning about it. And I've recovered from it. I'm still a little electrically sensitive, so like if I'm around a lot of Wi-Fi, I can get heart palpitations and whatnot, but I'm not as bad as a lot of people out there in the world. So the smart meter, it is about all of these models are different. And I encourage people to call your power company and say, hey, can I get this thing removed?
Jeez.
In some states, they'll remove it and they'll put in the old one and they'll charge you a little bit more money or whatever. But there's different things that you can do. You can get it on a post outside your home, and then it's distance from your house. If it's on the other side of the wall of your like newborn, you need to fix something. You need to change rooms or do something different. Go ahead.
Can you shoot spider webs out your wrists now because of your exposure to this thing?
That happening?
Actually, I can.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
That's cool. At least that's a nice benefit.
So are we completely
We should do a
done?
whole nother show on that.
Are we completely done with Mother Nature now? I mean, does Mother Nature not exist? We've killed her, buried her, told her to take a hike, kicked her to the curb. She's done. Because I feel like if we're at the point now where we're creating droughts and creating floods and creating hurricanes and halt hurricane, we don't need Mother Nature anymore, right? I mean, she's done. The
hydrological system is very precise and it works out really well. And Mother Nature does seem to be like being pushed aside now by technology. And it's a weird.
Do we have any evidence of data that is Mother Nature is pushing back? Like the globe is saying, "Hey, you guys want to calm down a little bit? That's not what I would normally do." Do we have any evidence of that?
Well, when they do make these extreme highs, it's followed by extreme lows because the system tries to balance itself out. And so if you do watch the data, it is available. One thing I want to touch upon is carbon dioxide, CO2, the boogeyman that everyone needs to address. It's 0.04% of the atmosphere. I know not everyone's like really great at math, but 0.04% is 0.04% is not 1%, and it's not even 0.1%. It's less than 0.1%.
Yeah.
0.04% is very, very low. So carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere, if they went up tenfold, 10 times, right, 10x, it would be good for agriculture. It would be beneficial for the world. If they got cut in half, we'd probably all die.
Oh. Hang on to that thought. Not good. We'll come back with it and start there. More with Matt coming up.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Welcome. 888-900-3393. Pat Unleashed on Twitter. Matt Landman is with us. He's a documentary filmmaker and director of Frankenskies. It's a riveting documentary. Highly recommend it. Matt, where can you get that? Where can you get Frankenskies?
It's on all the platforms. So if you like to watch BitChute or whatever, you can look it up. But also Frankenskies.com will give you a lot of different links and show you where to watch it and what have you. We could talk for hours, I'm realizing, about all these things. I just wanted to circle back really quick and talk about the smart meters because I wanted to cover that really quick. So in these situations where these fires are happening, you've got these electrical surges happening, and it looks like that these homes are burned from the inside out. You know, you've got trees standing next to these homes untouched. And the smart meter seems to be playing a role because they don't have the surge protection from the main line that they should. And they also have a lithium-ion battery in them that ramps up once it gets hot to like 4,000 degrees, and it's conductive and convective and connected to the internal wiring of the homes. And I think we're dealing with these electrical fires from the inside out of these homes that are attributed to the smart meters. Also, right before we got cut off, we were talking about carbon dioxide levels, and I just want to reiterate, carbon is not the problem. So this whole like anthropogenic, man-made global warming because of our exhaling all day, which is a big guilt trip. Right?
Yep.
It's gaslighting.
Yep.
It's like, how many times did you breathe today? Did you breathe today? Did you drive a car?
Right.
You know, the number one greenhouse gas, which people don't know, the number one greenhouse gas on Earth is water vapor. So water vapor, actual clouds, will trap heat and make a greenhouse effect. Carbon is only 0.04% of the atmosphere.
Right.
And if it went up tenfold, like I said, it would be good. It would be it'd be good for agriculture, and plants would thrive.
It would grow food.
And if
right.
And if they decreased it and cut it in half from like 0.04% to 0.02%, it might kill all life on Earth. So this whole demonization of the sun, right? This whole demonization of the sun, this whole demonization of carbon. It's all anti-life, anti-human, and by blocking the sun, if they actually are able to get away with this crackpot idea, it might actually throw us into an ice age and be detrimental. So let's consider that as policymakers, make these decisions for us and push us into this new world order paradigm.
Yeah, I love that.
So, all right. So, man, we talked about Mother Nature before the break, and is it pushing back? Is it irrelevant? One of the things that you point out in the film that was shocking was and we've talked about this in the news for quite a while now, and now it's starting to make sense, is what's happening to the bee population. What's happening to bees? You talked about in the film what they found in the brains of bees, and as terrifying, and I want you to talk about that, as terrifying as that is, then the rest of the story is what Monsanto is up to with bees. Explain that. Just shocking stuff, man.
So that's a great question, and thank you for bringing that up. It's also happening to the humans, so I'll go over all of it. Now the number one cause of death in the United Kingdom, number one cause of death is dementia, dementia and Alzheimer's from aluminum toxicity in the brain. So a lot of people don't know that fluoride is just a byproduct of melting aluminum. So fluoride and aluminum want to bond back together. So when you have fluoride in your water or your toothpaste or your Bud Light or whatever, which is important to take your health into your own hands nowadays because there's these attacks from every angle. But at the end of the day, you should consider it complementary because like, why is everything out to get us? Because they are terrified of us realizing what's going on. So they want to dumb us down to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
So fluoride can bypass the blood-brain barrier. It pulls the aluminum, and it pulls the aluminum past the blood-brain barrier, and then you end up with these two things having chemical reactions in your brain. Also, cholesterol is good for you. So this whole cholesterol demonization is insanity. People are on statins and what have you for high blood pressure, which I highly recommend getting off of these things because cholesterol is this fatty layer of protection to protect your brain. So the same thing that's happening to the humans, which is the aluminum buildup in the brain. And imagine you get aluminum buildup in the brain and then they are ramping up these EMF frequencies through NextRad, HAARP, 5G, and what have you. It's just like putting aluminum in the microwave, but it's in your brain. I mean, like this is why people are having neurological disorders and what have you. So the same things are happening to the bees. There's this bee die-off, and biologists and whatnot are dissecting bees, and they have this increased aluminum in their brain. Also worth mentioning is EMF frequency makes it so the bees can't even find their way back to the hive. There's a documentary called Resonance where they put a wireless phone inside the hive, and the bees can't even come back because the frequencies mess up their navigation systems. So the bees are dying off from the aluminum, especially, right? And then Monsanto has come out with an aluminum-resistant gene. Worth mentioning is Monsanto had to hide their name, and they don't even exist anymore. They got bought up by Bayer. Complete conflict of interest that the company that's making you sick also gives you medicine to make you better and what have you. Yeah. But Bayer / Monsanto have an aluminum-resistant seed because they know that the world is going to become so aluminized once this is normalized, especially that only their crops will grow. They also have a Franken bee, like a Frankenstein bee.
Incredible.
Where the bee is Monsanto produced, and it can live in a glyphosate, aluminum, toxic pesticide, herbicide-ridden environment where all the other insects are dying. So GMO is something really quick that it's like they like to confuse us. Oh, that's pretty advanced, genetically modified, whatever, and I'm not a scientist or whatever. But it's actually very simple. They're spraying poisons on your food that would make the food shrivel up and die. So they have to alter the genetic code a little bit so that poison doesn't kill your food, and it kills everything else around it. Mm-hmm. So literally you're eating stuff, if you're getting this glyphosate in your system or whatever, different things, atrazine and whatnot, you're eating things that would make your food completely die immediately if they hadn't altered its genetics. That's what GMO is.
And then we wonder why so many people have dementia, Alzheimer's, so many kids have autism. I mean, we're looking at the wrong source. It's probably coming directly from our food.
Certainly isn't.
It's coming from our food.
And you had an expert in the film say that I forgot what year, but it wasn't too far out. That 400,000 Australians were gonna die of dementia. I forget, but it was just some staggering number. And here you go. It's dreadful.
Yeah, at the very end of Frankenskies, and Frankenskies is uplifting, by the way. People think, I can't have this downer kind of documentary. It's actually inspiring through the education. It's uplifting through the activism and what have you. I didn't want to make another doom and gloom, like we're all going to die tomorrow, extinction event, whatever. It's not that at all. It's important to understand the world you live in so that you can address these needs and do things like detoxing or whatever, chelation, whatnot, with like spirulina or chlorella, what have you. So in the film, it ends with activism and rallies, and there's a woman speaking in Australia, and the numbers are very high. And this is an older footage where she's talking about how many people in Australia have dementia and Alzheimer's. Worth noting is last summer solstice on the 21st of June, just a few weeks ago, I hosted a rally in London, England, and it was the largest anti-geoengineering protest ever. We had thousands of people come out, and it was in opposition to this announcement. The United Kingdom announced publicly that they were going to start dimming the sun. Like, no nation has ever said we're going to do this geoengineering thing. This is like still under the guise of like conspiracy, but they come out publicly and said in 2 weeks, which was interesting that they said 2 weeks, because I'm thinking like maybe 2 weeks is a psychological thing, like 2 weeks to flatten the curve or whatever. In 2 weeks, we're going to start dimming your sun. In 2 weeks, we're going to start dimming your sun. You're welcome, you know? And people, I expected the pitchforks to come out at that point, but it's been so normalized and propagandized, and people are like, well, whatever it takes to help, you know, slow down this flooding and what have you, you know, hurricanes and whatnot. Yeah.
So in England, how are they going to accomplish that? Are they admitting that it's through aerosols in the air? They're just going to spray the sky with it?
Yeah, which is very fascinating. I encourage people to look up Make Sunsets. It's a website where you can actually go ahead and get yourself some carbon credits by donating money and making them spray chemicals in your sky. But which is becoming very normalized. You know, the propaganda is very powerful. They said they're going to use aircraft to spray chemicals. They don't say exactly what in the sky to start to dim it, but they don't say how much or where. It's very loose, but then it gives people the opportunity, if they're still asleep, to look at the lines in the sky and be like, "Oh, thank you,
thank you,
thank you for this."
Yeah,
and then someone like me comes along. Right, the activists come along and try to show people the way, and they're like, no, this is actually a good thing. Don't you know? Haven't you heard the news?
What? Wow. Just how they can find all these creative ways to fund this evil. Look at this. This is makesunsets.com. You can pay $30 here for a cooling credit subscription, just if you want to just do one.
We got to start hawking that.
$5 for a cooling credit.
We got to start hawking.
That's great. That's great.
That's good stuff.
Jeez.
What a grift.
Cooling credits is one step away from social credit system.
Yes.
Based on carbon. Yeah. It'll be based on carbon. It'll be like, oh, you didn't drive your car today, you get carbon points. Oh, if you ate a banana or coffee, well, that came from very far away, so you get negative points. And so we're gonna end up with a social credit score. This is all like this technocracy that's written in plain sight. It's on the writings on the wall, which I hope that we can buck this system and have it not happen. Yeah, I'd like to say no.
I'd like to say no to that.
But if it does... Yeah, if it does happen, this carbon credit kind of system, it'll be based on like, were you good today? You know, did you start your car? You know, did you have an electric vehicle? Did you eat a banana? It's all dystopia, but it's
we look at China and we think
fear.
How crazy that China off the deep end when it's right here in the West and it's on our doorstep for sure.
I mean, this is unreal.
The tentacles are just so far-reaching.
Matt, something that I've been curious about since we were talking about the hurricanes and Mother Nature and whether Mother Nature's just been pushed aside. Do we have the technology to actually form a hurricane, or can we just strengthen and redirect them?
Yes, we do have the technology. There were hurricanes that spawned out of the Gulf of Mexico last hurricane season, and that doesn't usually happen. It never happens.
Right,
so
I remember
for the
that
first
happening.
time ever. For the first time ever, hurricanes just spawned out of the blue, and there just happened to be these aircraft carriers there with these NEXRAD golf ball big things, creating this stuff. And usually they form in the Atlantic Ocean, where there's clashing of really cold and really hot air, which that doesn't happen in the Gulf of Mexico. But all of a sudden now, because of climate change, they say, or global warming, they say, these things are happening overnight, and then new words are coming out, like rapid intensification and whatnot.
Yes.
And then they're slamming the coast of Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, whatnot, and they're saying, oh, wow. And you better believe that eventually they're going to come out and say, oh, well, I think we have the technology to modify these things with geoengineering, with chemtrails. We're going to end up with a toxic sky, but maybe they'll be able to like supposedly quell these things, right? It'll be part of this problem reaction solution paradigm where we end up with a dimmed sun, but they're saying, oh, well, we're also able to engineer your weather. You're welcome. They're kind of spoon feeding it through like United Arab Emirates was able to make rain. And maybe we could do that one day. They're so technologically advanced.
I mean, China's been doing it, as advanced or farther advanced than we have for many years.
Right, and that's leaking into the mainstream.
Yeah, it is.
And they're not telling us that we've been able to do it for a century and that we were the front runners. And they're saying, "Oh, well, we should learn how to do that too, and maybe we'll start doing that."
Yeah.
But
How well
it
it
won't
worked.
be for our own benefit when they do it.
Are there corporations other than Monsanto? Obviously, are there corporations that are involved in this as well? I mean, because wasn't Skywater done in conjunction? That was from 61 to 88. That project was that done in conjunction with GE?
Yes, it was, and they have private-public cooperations now, where, for instance, if you've got enough money, I think it's about $100,000, you can call up a company and say, "Hey, I'm getting married on this day and this time. I want a blue sky." And even if it's supposed to rain that day, they will make it a blue sky for you because you have enough money.
Only $100,000?
Right. So if you've got the dough, you can dictate. You can make it cloudy. You can make it rain. And worth mentioning now, in the commodities exchange in Chicago, where they trade oil and timber and whatnot, you can trade weather. Yeah. So it's if people ask, like, why would they do that? Money.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, if you can control the weather and then you can go over there and make money off of it and then gobble up farmland that has been drought stricken and then it rains the next day, that's absolute control.
Yeah. Just a little reminder there for you.
Bring evil to life.
Bringing evil to life for years.
Can I say, though, it feels like we need to start cutting some slack to these weathermen that can't seem to get a forecast right 3 hours out now.
No kidding.
It's starting to make sense,
Yeah, some of the weathermen seem to be aware, but I think they get gag orders. And I mean, if they said the wrong thing, they'd lose their job overnight. So that's a thing. But yeah, they definitely... some of them don't get the memo of what's actually happening, so that's why they're wrong. So yeah, maybe we should just cut them some slack.
I don't know. It's a lot to take in.
It sure is.
It's a lot to process. And do you find that people are just resistant to this just because it's too much? I mean, you don't want to think this about.
I gotta get to work. You're telling me about the freaking bees?
Yeah, right.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I believe as J. Edgar Hoover said, when the public is presented with a conspiracy too large, that they just dismiss it.
Oh, I believe that.
And the idea that if you just watch on one day when they're heavily spraying, it's like, how much money did they spend just over my town spraying?
Right.
I mean, the amount of funding, it is shocking and staggering for many people, but you got to meet people where they're at. And some people are just ready to sit down and watch a documentary and have the metaphorical seed planted. But in time, the metaphorical soil will become fertile and that seed will sprout. Not everyone's on the same journey. Not everyone knows about the truth of 9/11 or what have you. But I do believe that everyone is ready for this truth. It's just about playing your part as an activist and meeting people where they're at. I mean, and planting the seed.
I don't
properly.
disagree with what you're saying, but then you go back to the climate change activists, and we got to act now.
Yeah,
we've got to act now. There's no time. We don't have time to wait for your stupid little plant to grow. We got to have something that needs to happen now.
And Matt, I know you talked about looking up, and I have that. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot, but you said look up, and if I see planes, like how you describe it, one on one side, one on the other, is it easy enough for me to open my flight app, and then because I'm looking up and because it's being tracked, would I be able to see those planes on my radar, or are they not registering with the proper agency, FAA? Are they just flying solo missions? Because I know
they got to register, right?
That's the thing. Because I know I've shown Keith. Hey, Keith, look at this. This plane from the Air Force is flying by my house right now. Yeah. Are these secret operations, or can I just look up and there's a plane, tail number, blah 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 blah?
Great question, and thank you so much for asking this question. So after 9/11, so many things went black ops. I mean, Congress signs off these bills, and they don't even know where half the money is going
for our safety. Of course,
we're dealing with trillionaires who have bunkers, doomsday bunkers built. We're dealing with a new world order that is so evil and out of our comprehension that they literally own that flight tracking app. and they mislead people with that.
Wow.
So unfortunately, that is an interesting piece of the puzzle and whatnot. But oftentimes that is not aligned with truth. And it's unfortunate. But like, imagine like if you're in these evil think tanks and you're in these evil boardroom discussions, and like one example I like to bring up is lead-based paint. The gasoline, the petroleum was leaded. They were fumigating the neighborhoods of America, and children were getting sick from leaded gasoline.
Right.
So in their think tank, they were like, well, we're going to have 5G come out, and we don't want people to have leaded paint. They'll be able to protect themselves from woodpecker, harp, all this stuff, whatever, you know what I mean? And so we got to get this off the shelves. But also, the petroleum industry is going to be blamed for poisoning everyone. So let's quietly make it unleaded. We'll tell everyone children were eating paint. Perfect. And they come out with these ideas decades in advance.
Jeez.
So the trillionaires are way ahead of us. And I mean, it's exciting to have these flight tracking apps, but I've learned through being an activist that it's not always as simple as that, and we have to use our own discernment. And thank you so much for asking that question. Also, I'd like to plug my website, actualactivists.com. It's a one-stop shop for truth. There's a daily blog on there called The Daily Truth, but on there you can find stuff on EMF, 5G, GMO, geoengineering, chemtrails, whatever you want to call it. There's so much information. Also, I want to say before we go about this battle of light and dark and good and evil and what have you, there's all these synonyms for chemtrails. Some will call it SRM, solar radiation management. Some call it SAI, stratospheric aerosol injections. All these terms are designed to confuse you. You know, chemtrails is a dirty word, but geoengineering is our savior. These are synonyms. In the United Kingdom, their spraying program is an acronym, SATAN, Satan, and it stands for the Stratospheric Aerosol Transport and Nucleation Program.
They love that crap.
And where is that? Who has that?
United Kingdom.
The UK. Good.
United Kingdom.
Golly.
Very easily looked up. The Satan program.
Unreal.
It's just unreal. But it's like, and people are like, oh, they wouldn't be, they didn't do that on purpose. Come on, they could have created another
Of course
acronym.
they did.
Did
Name it whatever they
100%.
wanted.
Yes.
That can't not be on purpose.
Right.
That
Right.
is insane. All right. Well, this has been fun. It's been fun.
So you've got a second movie coming out that you're working on, right? Frankenskies.
Yeah, this sounds really good, though. This, what's it going to be called?
Oh, so I'm working on a sequel.
Yeah.
Updates can be available at frankenskies2.com. And
Okay.
the sequel film, which I've got a lot of great interviews, and I'm traveling the world right now getting great footage and what have you. Frankenskies 2 Climate Chains.
I like that.
shackles.
I like that.
fun.
Yeah.
You're gonna use-
Obviously.
Are you going to use the same old TVs, or are you going to update the TVs for the movies?
That's a good
what are we
effect.
doing?
Oh, thanks for noticing that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm going to use that exact motif or style again. Likely not, but maybe for a little bit of it.
Okay.
The first film went from 1920s to present, which
Right.
2017 was the when the movie came out, and the idea was to show the timeline so that anyone, my grandmother, anyone could sit down and watch it and see the history. And once you see the history and see how we got to where we're at, it's not such a reach because explaining to people here's where we are without them knowing like, oh, well, Popeye in the 1920s and what have you. So the film Frankenskies 2 will be more about the present and where we're going.
Awesome.
Okay.
With a New World Order agenda. So Frankenskies 2, look out for that. And then also Frankenskies, there's a lot of available information there, including a list of the patents and what have you. And please, people, for EMF and awareness on 5G and whatnot, please check out my blog and my EMF clothing line at Spero, S-P-E-R-O, gear.com. Spero is the Latin word for hope, bringing hope to the next generation through awareness.
Awesome. Tremendous information. Thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate it. Hopefully that'll wake us all up. Make us want to go back to sleep. Wow.
That's for sure.
Pat Gray, only on the Blaze Radio Network.